I might have jumped the gun on bringing out the wool and knitwear already, because it's meant to be getting pretty warm today, but I just want it to be autumn so badly. So my mental health hasn't been great lately, and to solve all of my problems, I decided to do some retail therapy. Only for me, it's more thrifting therapy. Yesterday, I went to my favorite fabric oh my god. Okay. Favorite fabric thrifting place. And I came out with like 3 bags of stuff. And we're not talking tote bags here, we are talking IKEA bags of stuff. And amongst that bounty, I acquired a really big curtain. And I just looked at this and it gave me such cozy, comfy autumn vibes that I really want to make a dress out of it. So I went onto Etsy last night and I picked out a 50s day dress pattern that I really liked. I've got that printed out this morning and we need to assemble it and cut out all of the pieces. I have a couple of anxieties about this pattern. The first one being that I don't know if I have enough curtain fabric to actually do the pattern. I'm just going into this with denial and delusion. Secondly, the pattern itself, it gave the bust and the hip size, which should fit me fine, but it didn't give a waist measurement, and that kind of feels like an important measurement to me, but it doesn't say it absolutely anywhere. Once I have the pieces assembled, I need to measure out the bottom pieces of like all of the bodice pieces and like the top of the skirts to see how much that waist measurement adds up to see if it will fit me. And if not, I will need to add some extensions on there to get it to my size, because I'm expecting it to be small. They usually are pretty small around the waist. And that pretty much covers it. We're making an autumn dress out of a curtain today, which is a fairly simple project for me. Let us head downstairs and get the pattern cut out. Autumn on 3. I knocked my light. Autumn on 3. 1, 2, 3. Autumn! I started assembling the pattern and the knitwear lasted for about 2 minutes. Too hot. I measured along the top of the skirt panels to figure out what the waist measurement was. It came to just under 35 inches. With taking away the seam allowances, I thought this would be plenty to fit my 30-inch waist, but alas, I forgot that this pattern is supposed to overlap at the front to burner, but I hadn't realised that yet, so let's save that for later and get this pattern cut out. I don't know why I thought that was a good transition, it's just giving the SpongeBob worship meme. It occurred to me that this is a whole curtain and I need to actually cut the lining out before I can cut my pieces out. I can't believe there was any part of me that thought there might not be enough curtain here for the pattern. It's like I forgot how big this thing was since thrifting it yesterday. Should I attempt to pattern match this? Is that even possible? Do I have that ability? I mean, I definitely don't have that ability. The curtain is huge, there's going to be a fair bit of extra fabric, so I could attempt it. I just strongly do not believe I have the ability to do it. I thought about it, and I've decided I'm going to attempt to pattern match all of the pieces, which means we're going to be cutting them out one at a time and very carefully. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work, which would have just been like as if I hadn't tried to begin with. I started out with the back pieces, lining up the center seam edge at the point on the pattern where taking out a seam allowance on either side wouldn't affect the overall design, and I very, very carefully cut all of this out. For the front panels, I made sure that the side seams to the back panel would match up and then cut out the first half. I then realised on the second half, I had to choose between lining up the pattern on the centre front or on the side. So obviously I chose the centre front. Can we get a moment of appreciation for how big these pockets are? That is the size of my head. I could put a head in my pocket. And focusing back on the task at hand, for the bodice pieces, I prioritised getting the front panels to match up with the front panels from the skirt. I was so focused on trying to figure out all of the pattern matching that I lost sight of where the camera was, so most of this part was cutting partially or entirely off camera, so let's just skip ahead. I have cut out all of the pieces except for this front facing, because I wasn't entirely sure where it goes, so I didn't know what pattern to match it up to. So whenever I come across this in the instructions, I will cut that out then. First steps are essentially just assembling the bodice. Oh, I actually got new sewing things for my birthday. I actually got a lot. But there are some specific things I want to try out today. My in-laws got me some pins that have buttons on the end of it, and they're really colourful and cute. They are so bold that no matter how many of these I drop on the floor, I will always be able to spot them. I've also got coloured tailor's chalk, which I'm definitely going to use today. And my mom, just gonna move all these. My mom got me the cutest thing. She got me this little like engraved box, and it says Madame Myriads on it, which is adorable. And inside, it has the fanciest pair of scissors you ever did see. So whilst I have many new little bits, these are the 3 that I'm excited to use today. So cute. Jumping right in with some very blue tailor's chalk, I started marking in the darts on the bodice panels. This makes me so happy. I then got to use my new button pins to hold the darts in place, which are so whimsical, I love them. I then repeated these steps on the lining as well. With the darts sewn in, I started joining the panels at the side seams. Rather than matching up notches, I focused on lining up the pattern on the fabric to get it as smooth as I could. For the lining, however, I just matched up notches as you usually would. Remember when I said that today was going to be a little bit warm to be wearing wool? I should probably press the seams before I put the lining on. I just don't want to because the iron is warm, and it is warm. Can we all just take a moment, please, to appreciate how seamless that seam transition is? That's the back and that's the front, and they are joined together through a seam that I matched up. Unfortunately, the other side seam is not like that. You can very much see where that one joins. I had to make sure the front pieces matched up, so I had to just pick one side. I also discovered when I was pressing the seams, fabric apparently is quite plasticky because the iron was just melting the fabric, so I had to be very like gentle and take it off the heat very quickly when I was pressing the seams. And for most people, this would be where you would just turn the heat down on your iron, so you're only ironing on a low heat. My iron is ancient and has one setting, and that setting is called hot. Just joining the lining and the fashion layer together now, and then we're going to be onto the skirt pieces. Oh, I forgot to explain about the massive bruise I've been sporting today. It looked a lot cooler yesterday because yesterday it was like really deep purples and blues and looked very gothic. Today it's just kind of green and gross. We had archery at my birthday party. Whilst I am a good shot, I have bad form, so the string kept just like hitting my arm, and now I'm injured. So much blood, why? I'm almost there at the end. I can hold out getting a plaster. Just don't touch the dress. Why there's blood on my finger? I then proceeded to sing a creepy nursery rhyme to myself about not getting blood on my dress, and then rewarded myself with a Hot Wheels plaster. I don't even know why I keep my plasters downstairs anymore. At this point, I should really just bring them up here. Ow, I did not just stab myself again. It's okay, no blood. When I machined the lining in place, I did it a little different than how I usually would. I was actually following the instructions here, and it told me to machine up to the shoulder seams, but not across them. So you start a fresh seam either side of them each time. This way, when you turn it out, the shoulders are still open and raw. I then slip stitched the open shoulder seams by hand off camera and joined them together on the machine afterwards. Day 2. We completed pretty much the top half last night, save for some buttonholes. Today we'll be working on the skirt and then joining it all together and having a complete dress. I'm very excited about it. I did start the day out in a delightfully cozy knitted jumper, and it was really nice to wear for about 10 minutes, but then it was really warm and I couldn't hack it, so it had to go. I guess we're gonna have to wait just a little bit longer before we can bring out our jumpers. Oh well, on with the project. I actually have no idea what the first step of today is. I probably should have got this ready sooner. Let me dig out the instructions again. You know, these really aren't the clearest instructions in the world. Looks like we're starting with the front skirt panels, and I need to cut out my front facing piece now that I know where it goes. It says I need to cut 2 of these, but in the instructions it only tells me to attach 1, which is super helpful. I'll cut out 2 and then we'll see where we go. I thought I'd pattern match that, but I have not. Next, following the instructions, I did what I believe to be a really stupid step, because I feel like it just made adding the facing unnecessarily difficult, and the whole step just felt a bit pointless. It told me to join the center front panels from a point about 1 centimeter above where the facing ends to a point roughly halfway down the skirt, but not the actual full length of the skirt seam, for some reason. So I did it because it told me to. I tried to have faith there would be a point to this, and there was not. Next, I pinned and machined the facing panels in, which was a little bit difficult now that the top half of the skirt panels were joined. And I did put a facing panel on each side of the skirt opening, even though the instructions only told me to do it on one side, which again, I feel like they just missed that point out. At this point in the instructions, it tells you to complete the center front seam, as in sew the bottom half of the skirt that you just left earlier. Someone please tell me why I couldn't have just done that before. I then moved on to joining up the sides and the back seams. Like with the bodice pieces, I prioritised lining up the fabric pattern rather than the notches when pinning these together. Obligatory twirl. Look at that front seam. Onto my pockets large enough to fit a head inside. These were very simple to put together. All I had to do was pin and machine the linings on, right sides together, leaving a small gap at the bottom. I then turned these right side out and slip stitched the gaps shut off camera and pressed them neat, very careful not to melt them with my iron. Look how well the pockets blend in. The pattern matching on this project definitely hasn't been perfect, but it is so satisfying to see it. Being very careful to keep the patterns lined up, I pinned the pockets in place and then put them through the machine. I will admit it took some mental gymnastics to figure out how to fit these into the machine with the skirt assembled. I almost gave up and hand stitched them. And now we join the bodice to the skirt. I don't think all of the pattern is going to line up, but I really want the front to line up as much as I can get it to. I started with the front side that was going to sit on top, as it made sense to make sure that part matched up the most, and then followed round. As I got to the other front side, it started to misalign a little too much for my liking, so I forced some mini pleats into the skirt around the side and back seams to get rid of the excess, so that the bodice would line back up with the pattern on the fabric. I'm glad I did this because it's not really noticeable on the finished thing, and the pattern lines up so smoothly on the front. It's a little off, but it's not bad. To finish off the inside, I cut some notches in the seam allowances where the fabric got a little bit too bulky, and then folded the lining up to the seam to close in all of the raw edges. This too was hand stitched off camera. I need to make the belt, and I have absolutely no clue what the instructions are trying to tell me to do. There's diagrams, but I still don't understand what it's trying to show me. I have my belt piece, and then I have various thrifted buckle-like things. I don't know which one would fit or be more suitable because I don't know how this belt is supposed to look. I mean, it's a belt. It's just a line of fabric. Tell you what though, I did realize something really, really stupidly obvious. On the belt piece pattern, it marks out the center front to center front. So if I just measured the distance between those two dots, that's the waist measurement. Instead of trying to hodge it together through different pattern pieces that included seam allowances and darts. And for the record, I got it wrong because this is a measurement of 28 inches, which is smaller than I am. As I've been sewing it together, I have been like really small with my seam allowances to try and give myself some extra space around the waist because I started to realize this is feeling a little bit small. I don't know if it would have been enough to compensate, but I feel like it's gonna fit, it's just gonna be a snug fit. I don't get what the spiky bit's for with the triangles. Like, why is that? I don't understand. I think I figured out what it wants me to do, but I think it's just really, really stupid. So it wants you to fold it to the midway point all the way down, like so, and then it wants you to just stitch along the very edges of each side to just hold that in place. I guess this is the back and you just leave it raw, which seems very silly to me, but those are the instructions. And the triangle bits, I feel like serve no actual function because it just tells you to like fold it into a way that it points at the end, but I feel like cutting these in just makes that harder because I can't see how that is helpful. How is that a helpful end to then fold into a point? It's just like 3 different points and it's a mess. I feel like those people are just gonna tell me now that I completely misunderstood the assignment. And this is actually a really smart way to make a belt, I just didn't do it properly. Yep, this top has actively prevented me from being able to make a point, so I've got to cut them off. Because they're in the way. Useless. I almost certainly would have been better off making my own belt, but I followed the instructions as best as I could and stitched along the edges to hold the folds in place. I then added a buckle. Unfortunately, the only one that fit was also the only one that was broken, but if the belt was long enough, it still could have worked. This belt is pretty small and does not give me a lot of hope of actually being able to fit in this dress. And finally, I selected some pretty buttons from my stash to go down the front, which brings us to the results. This dress makes so many outfits. I love it. I think the autumn one was my favorite. Shocking, I know, but it was. I think it pairs really well with black, which I wasn't expecting, but I really, really like it. I think it's gonna be perfect for every season. It is a little bit warm even wearing it like this, because obviously it's a very thick material, but let's be honest, most of the time, even in summer, the UK is not that warm, so I think it's gonna work year round. Although I must admit, it's pretty warm right now, so filming the winter outfit in particular, oh boy. Anyway, I love this dress. It has humongous pockets. I can fit books in these things. How amazing is that? It isn't as tight as I thought it would be. It's definitely a little bit tight. I'm wearing it. If I like lean over slightly or let my posture go, it does that thing where it like O's open. So I think I need to put some hooks in it like it told me to, but I ignored. So I'll go back and do that. But other than that, this dress is perfect. I love it. I'm very excited to wear it. It is going to be such a staple in my wardrobe from now on. Finding that curtain was such a blessing. For the regular watchers of my channel, you may or may not be wondering about the dragonfly dress, which I made in my last video, and I said in my next video I'm going to do a bunch of stuff to change that dress. And then obviously this is not it. That is because I severely underestimated how long all of the stuff I'm doing to it was going to take, and it's taking a very long time, so I needed a quick project that I could actually give you a video for this week. I'm still working on it. It's been a lot harder than I was expecting it to be, but I'm very excited to share it with you all, and I swear on all of the gods, it will be my next video because it will definitely be done in 2 weeks' time. The sun is very in and out this afternoon, I apologize. As always, thank you so very much for watching along. I really hope you enjoyed this project. If you want to see some more of my videos, don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to leave me a comment down below because you guys know how much I love to chat with you all. And I will see you all in my next video, which I am very excited to finally be sharing with you all.